Welcome back. We are currently tied. Grubby did take us point for Axiom Grubby. And on the flip side, Sage returns by taking out Ryung for Team Root. So we're tied up one apiece. We're entering into game number 3 right now, which is going to be State versus Heart. I'm in control. He's Sean, Dana on plot. This is the SC2L. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love the big audience, despite the fact that God himself is streaming. Awesome day for StarCraft today. Awesome day.
Oh, yes. Very excited also to see this TVP on this kind of unusual map with the brand newest of ROOTGaming's players. Let's introduce the man who just got into WCS up in the top left-hand corner. His teammates, veterans of the WCS, but he is a little bit of a newcomer, hoping to make a splash there and here in the SC2L. It is Axiom's Heart. And down in the bottom right-hand corner, from Team ROOTGaming, brand new addition. Showed some very fantastic games at the Red Bull training grounds. Of course, always going to show some great games in these team leagues. It's State, who we actually haven't gotten to see in team leagues for a while because he's been sort of flying off the radar with a personal sponsorship.
Yeah, he was doing it solo for a while there. He did come in and played with Root when they faced Na'Vi, and actually pretty much the only reason I remember that is because he played a game on Red City against Bly that was absolutely disgustingly ridiculous.
Yeah.
He was miles ahead, and then those frickin' Mutilas started carving him up real good. So he's looking to change up the memory, I would say, of State in SC2L, because right now that is all I can think of. But a win here against Heart, putting Root up 2-1 against Axiom, that would do a lot in the way of making SC2L a much better experience for him.
So nice. And let's be honest, every Protoss player is always trying to avenge a Mutila's loss.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't even matter if it's a Zerg or not, you're just trying to avenge it.
Yeah. In the top right, gas going down for Heart. I like this move. This map is so open, and you have this extremely nice retreat point with a Reaper. You go into the base, and you pull to that watchtower that's at the far right side. Sure, you can send a Stalker to take it down, but very out of the way for a Protoss player. You have to spend a lot of resources, a full Stalker going up there. And you don't really want to have a lot of Stalkers in this game. So the few Stalkers you do have, really you kind of want to keep home to deal with drops. And
right.
Now that we're on the topic of drops, this is an amazing drop map, Jeff.
It's an amazing drop map, but you know, even just going back to your first point, it's probably the Reaper map. I mean, they hop all up and down the main base. As you said, they can go to the top right tower, or they could honestly go to the one that's even in the middle of the map, because as a Reaper, they're going to outrun, as long as you're paying attention, anything that approaches that tower. It's just a great map for getting that map control, getting that absolute scout, and really going for it. We do have an SCV scout actually kind of predating the Reaper. It's going to show up over here just beforehand. I think that's interesting.
Ooh,
a lot of times it's for a bunker or an eBay block, but he actually ignores the natural, so I don't know what it is for, actually.
Well, looks like he pops into here. I think the big question on his mind is, am I going to be up against an early expander or a really fast Stargater? He has to check before the Stalker pops out, so I think he's going to be very content to see that at this point in time. Reaper's going to pop up, kind of double confirm some things, but of course it's very possible to get the Stalker out right now and to prevent the Reaper from even getting in the base.
He actually opts for a Zealot. Okay, it was a misclick. I was like, Zealot. Okay, I'm not quite sure why. The Mothership is honestly, it's not a threat to killing the Reaper, really, but it will defend the main base. We should see no more probes going down, and as that Stalker comes out, that's when he's going to begin to say, maybe I can push out onto the map, or maybe he just leaves it back at home, because as you say, you do want to build up a drop defense, but also that Reaper's so damn pesky and fast that oftentimes you're not comfortable with just the Mothership core. So we'll have to see where State goes with that.
Yeah, I mean, State's getting the single Stalker. I'm curious to see where State's going to evolve from here. He now has 3 in his right geyser. It looks like he's rallied in to have 3 in his left geyser, so that's down. And I really love this transition that a lot of players are doing as Terran. Heart spending his next collection of gas not getting a factory, which is sort of the default, but just getting a whole bunch of add-ons.
Wow.
Look at that, already going 3 barracks off gas first. Kind of seems unusual, but he's going to begin rapidly teching all the way up to factory, up to more upgrades, all with 1 gas. It's really,
I almost
really
wonder
cool.
if it's just going to be pure bio, Sean. This is the kind of stuff I was talking about. He's going for stim first, and off that 1 gas, he's not going to really have enough gas for a factory too terribly soon, especially if he wants to make Marauders. But he is just pumping out Marines right now, so if perhaps that factory actually will materialize here in just a few moments. But this is the Heart that I'm talking about, man. Like, he's just going to make pure Marines and probably go in with stim.
Well, I hope he does. I mean, that's certainly a really cool play.
Yeah.
I mean, normally if players are going to be pulling an early move, they're going to go for fast combat shields. So it's very possible that Hart will do what a lot of Terran players are doing and get the stims started so early that stim and combat shield are both finished before the medevacs pop out. So it looks like he's going to be moving out with these Marines. The big thing that we're seeing him cut is the bunker. So there's no bunker defense at all, only just now getting that second gas. Yeah, meanwhile, on State's side of things, we see the Twilight Council.
Yeah, very, a lot of interesting stuff going on right now. Like this natural of State, super fast third and fourth gas, which screams at me that he's going to go for that kind of fast storm play that we're starting to see. Even after a robe opening, you get charged and storm fairly quickly, and then you actually delay your upgrades. But you can do storm drops off of that, or of course you can just storm the crap out of any kind of aggression coming out from the Terran player. This is a little bit new, though. Well, I say new, but honestly, it's like an old-fashioned coming back into fashion, because I think back to a lot of games on that beach map. I'm blanking on the name of it. But there's a lot of Zealot Storm Charge going on there.
God, what was that map called? Was it just Belshire Beach?
I think it was called Belshire Beach. Guardian Shield goes up.
Hart runs right headlong into these stalkers. Excellent play. Oh, yeah, the Guardian Shield went up. Oh, the good old hold position. Whoopsie daisies, I hit the G button. So we see Blink coming up. So State's actually going for a 5-gate Blink play, which is kind of like a delayed pressure build. If he can stay alive here...
Yeah. He's not happy to see this. Photon Overcharge does go down, and actually, look at this.
Whoa.
Wow, Hart says, I don't care. He's going to storm forward. It's mostly sentries here, but the angle is too good for our Protoss player, so it looks like Hart will back away.
Yeah, that seems like a very crazy play. I mean, now there's going to be 5 gates of Blink pressure barreling down the front. We see, the Marine in the main base spots all the stalkers. I mean, with the double forge follow-up, I mean, State's going to be in amazing shape. He's going to be able to put on Blink stalker pressure and then get ahead in late-game upgrades.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is that double forge. Well, actually, I mean, and the robotic spade goes down behind us, so... Certainly, State doesn't see what we see, which is that a lot of stalkers could have applied some pretty good pressure against our Terran player, as he is only on 3 barracks right now because he was on that 1 gas for so long. But he's going to play it safe. Blink first means that you have a response to things like medevacs. You can defend the Colossus tech, which you're then, of course, going to circle back around to. And because our Protoss player did start his gas so early, I mean, look at this. He's got a 600 gas bank that he's cutting into right now.
So that's going to be exciting to see how he burns through all that cash. And I'm a little surprised to see no Blink aggression, but of course it's not all that uncommon. Hart, on the other hand, is going for the 5 barracks before the command center. We almost never see that. That's extremely rare. That's maximum aggression. That could be him saying, whoops, lost my first force, I gotta make up for it. But whether it's a response or whether it's an intentional play, you gotta deal damage right now. You're trying to exploit a late third nexus. You're trying to get it before it gets that photon overcharge. But I mean, this is a really swift pace from State.
A couple of nice reactions coming out from our players. We do see that third CC actually does go down here after adding the additional infrastructure. So of course his army's going to be a little bit more lopsided, a little bit heavier than what we're accustomed to seeing, but that's in exchange for the slightly later third CC. We do have those stalkers moving out. As you had said, they can blink, trade shields away for actual life, and then get back home safely. This Colossus is desperately needed. It does come out, and the Bioforce of Hart does scout out the third Nexus, but he doesn't feel confident defending against, or excuse me, attacking into it. And frankly, with the Photon Overcharge, with the amount of blink stalkers we have here, I think that's a wise choice from Hart.
Well, you can always pull the units out into this middle open space where the bio functions very well. We see the stalkers getting a little bold stepping forward and going to take a little bit of damage, but Hart, I think, does have a good opportunity. He's getting a couple of Vikings that will help, just applying pressure with 2 to 4 Vikings, but Hart's kind of got to do stuff fast. 1-1 is already done, and 2-2 will be coming just around the corner.
Yeah, he's kind of hanging out here, and honestly, his army is not the one that's getting much better. We have a stim coming forward. It looks like he wants to be aggressive. The Colossus is isolated. We have a spread coming out from Hart as he was thinking about engaging into that, but there's 2 fully juiced sentries, enough zealots there, and a Nexus nearby for Photon Overcharge that honestly I feel like an engagement there would have been disastrous for Hart, and he's going to back away. A second Colossus makes its way out here as well. Range not yet finished for the Colossus, about seconds away, so the reason that's relevant is because both these armies are dangerously close to clashing, but with that range just now finishing, I think State can start thinking about being the aggressor.
I mean, now State, with 2 Colossus, 2-2 getting done, I mean, looking back at Hart's base, this is what happens when you get 5 barracks before your expansion. Only now has Hart landed the command center, literally just now, so there's no extra gas. He can't devote the extra gas to throwing down Vikings and the upgrades and the armory. I mean, there's just too much, so the State is just pulling light years ahead. The supply does favor Hart, but only by a little bit. And in these big army battles, I mean, the Colossus have so much influence anyways.
Yeah, it's not uncommon for Terran to be leading in supply at this stage of the game. Whoop. Just messed up my control, but honestly, we're just a couple of warpins away from being equal in supply, and that shows how well State has managed his economy. He's in a really nice place. He just now has charge coming in on 50%, and that's a little bit late, to be honest with you, but that's kind of the side effect of the aggression that we've seen from Hart. Hart hasn't actually gone for anything. He hasn't really committed to anything, but because he's floating around out here and his army is bunching up, the Protoss player always has that at the forefront of their mind.
Yeah, I mean, this is really the key moment in this entire matchup. When the Terran player tries to flood a ton of bio, all you have to do is kill this force once, and then everything's even. Then everything's heavily in your favor as Protoss. So 2-2's just finishing up. I mean, if you can get Storm, you've done it. If you can kill the army, you've done it. If you can get to 3-3, you've done it. No 2-2 is even underway for Hart. Hart is looking to be in just atrocious shape.
And Hart's actually going to go for a semi-doom drop here. 3 medevacs is a very hefty drop. And on this map, it's actually possible to see the full right-hand side. We have a pylon brilliantly placed by our Protoss player State. And the problem I have with this, Sean, is that frickin' Marine staring at it. But it looks like he's going to fly past it anyways and count on his State's lack of reaction. But if any kind of Templar make over there, some feedbacks could be so nasty right now.
Uh-oh, is he actually going to swing around it? I think... Oh, he can't see it.
Does he not see it? He doesn't see that. Never mind.
He can't see it. Oh, no, this drop is going to be tremendous. This might be exactly what Hart's looking for. I mean, Hart has been in a completely screwed position for quite some time. And now Hart's making the drop into the main.
And that drop is going to go down. There are no Templar here. The cannon does get shot down immediately. A single Zealot gets warped in. Big freaking deal. But 3 medevacs with these upgraded Marines is going to be able to bring down the Nexus as well. Photon Overcharge is initiated. Zealot's warped in, but it doesn't seem to be enough. And here we go. State's army is going to have to be divvied up. Meanwhile, the main engagement's happening in front of that third base. 4 Colossus were there, but now it's down to 3, now 2. Good force fields do go down, but without Storm and the aid of the rest of the Protoss army, I don't know if it's enough.
Oh, God, if that last Colossus falls, I mean, it really's got to stay alive at this point. I mean, State, we said that it was the key time that you have to hold off, but State has lost his main Nexus. Hart, just with a flurry of nice micro, has taken this down in droves. Main base is still falling apart. I mean, State is rebuilding another Nexus at the right side, but is in just heinous position.
Oh, wow. Crazy good feedback on the medevac that actually just got done picking up units and trying to rescue them from the force fields. Inside the main, as Day9 said, we're having a lot of damage. Just now, the robotics bay went down as well. Facility, which means we're not going to see any more Colossus enter out here, and frankly, they're needed. There's a blink forward going for the medevac. It does shoot down one of the fully loaded medevacs, which means that of these 2 medevacs, there's just one that has 3 Marauders and 2 Marines. Still enough to pack a punch, but much in the way of, it's less so, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
You know what? Well, this Nexus on the right side's definitely going to fall. Hart just does one quick stim, darts up, and takes not only it down, but a lot of these probes down. It's already quarter health, half health, and wow, will be repelled in time. Kind of an impressive response there by State. But, I mean, do you even retake your main now? I don't think you do. You don't even have enough units to defend 3 spots, let alone 4.
Yeah, I think I missed it, but the medevac, that they must have died or dropped or left or something. We're not seeing it. Hart's pushing out here now. Sean, I got to tell you, that drop in the main did a lot of damage, but all of a sudden, I'm not seeing a whole lot in the way of a Terran army out on the map. And he's got to be careful because with Blink, one bad engagement, and you're not going home. As we can see here, this Blink's going to get up and capitalize against that army.
2-2's done, but 3-2-1 is already finished for State. And it doesn't sound very intimidating when I count it down backwards like that. 3 armor, 2 attack, 1 shield. Stim stepping in, but State can continue to apply pressure forward. I mean, there was a nice Zealot flank from the backside. He tries to float up and instantly gets picked off. I mean, State has just completely coalesced, pulled everything back together. You hold off one attack, and you are in golden shape if your opponent's been this aggressive in the opening. And I really think that State's locked this up.
He could do it. There's no Ghost out here. He does have Storm. Hart's going to push forward. He's not afraid of nobody. He's going to eat these Storms in the teeth, though. Vikings Marines and SCVs alike all going down, and those upgrades that Day9 point out are now kicking some serious butt. And all of a sudden, State is the guy with a 40 and going on 50 supply advantage. There's the GG. Hard taps out. He aggressed himself to death, John.
Yeah, I mean, that's really how these sorts of plays go. I mean, you know, I remember when you were saying, wow, he doesn't have really much of a main army.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a few seconds before 2-2 finished for Hart, and that really is the story. Hart devoted so much to aggression. It gives you a big one punch, but then you have no follow-up. Yeah, he killed off the main. Yeah, he killed off a bunch of infrastructure, but suddenly units, and there was nothing he could do. I mean, that's really what happens when you're behind on upgrades, and most importantly, behind on that rounded out tech. In that production tab, we see that there's 7 barracks out, but barracks 6 and 7 didn't get to do much that game. It was basically 5 barracks the whole time with no ghosts.
Yeah, you know, to give credit where credit's due as well, I really like State's execution of 2 units in particular. He was really strong with the Blinkstalkers. He didn't do a lot in the way of damage mid-map because he wasn't allowed to, obviously. That was a gigantic force of Terran out there. But every time a medevac loaded up to evacuate from a situation, State made that tax a medevac or 2 fully loaded, always picking off the correct medevac. And then his Templar, his Storms were really nice, but that's not actually what I would call attention to right now, because he was actually thinning out the health and focusing on feedbacking the medevacs as well. I think State did a brilliant job of making these drops more of an exchange as opposed to a one-way damage dealer in favor of the Terran player. And in the big fights where Terrans would commonly say, oh no, I got force field, let's pick up and get out of here, State made that look silly as well.
Yeah, I mean, now ROOTGaming is going to be leading the series 2-1. I think probably to a lot of people's surprise, if you showed them this lineup and said one of the teams is 2-1, they would probably assume that Grubby lost and that Ryung and Hart won. But instead, it's Grubby the one who won and Ryung and Hart lost. Sage and State really pulling things together just fantastically. But now Katz is going up against Alicia, who is always looking amazing. Katz, in my eyes, needs to pull some of his unusual, unorthodox, plus solid play to win this. If he plays standard, Alicia's going to crush.
Couldn't disagree if I tried, my friend.
Boom!
Alicia is a sick, nasty Protoss. Katz, of course, fully capable of beating anybody, but oftentimes we see him with his hands full with these top-notch Korean pros. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's going to be Katz, the heart and soul of Team Root, trying to push that lead to 3-1 as he takes on, I almost called him Hart again, Alicia from Team Axiom.